Boom, unmuted. We are giving this example, and I want to tell you guys, right, my IG, I'm gonna be talking to this camera mostly, which has my Facebook and my YouTube, not about PR, not about media cycles, but about real work and institutional community building. That's all I can speak to. I'm a great marketer, I'm a great brander. I get PR and I get media, but I also get building, community building, institutional building, and power. All right, so my eye contact may change from you guys, but listen in, or hop onto my YouTube, my Facebook. YouTube, Facebook, Tulsa Real Estate Fund partners, TREF Life and Real Life, coming to you live from the Black House. It's Jay Morrison, CEO and founder of the historic Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Every first Tuesday, we do something called TREF Talks Tuesdays, right? Every first Tuesday of the month. And we kind of give a insider report to our members on the Tulsa Real Estate Fund and our progress. Today is the 3-year anniversary of the non-traditional IPO of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. We launched on June 1st of 2018, and now it's 3 years later, and we're gonna be talking about what we have done, what we are continuing to do, what our vision is to do in regards to resurrecting Black Wall Street in real life. And our fund launched 3 years ago on June 1st as a homage and remembrance to the community we're all celebrating all throughout the country right now. Black Wall Street, Greenwood, Dreamland, Tulsa, Negro Wall Street, Little Africa, all the names they have for Tulsa that inspired this fund back in 2016. Our company, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, was formed in 2016. We were paying homage to Tulsa and Black Wall Street in 2016. And not paying homage just in regards to a hashtag or tweet. We built a economic institution, a financial institution, to be able to galvanize, organize, and deploy Black dollars, right? To be able to empower the Black community and rebuild Black Wall Street, not just as bricks and sticks, not just businesses and buildings, not putting broken people into renovated properties, but in an effort for comprehensive community building, nation building, financial building, institution building. So I have some notes I want to cover for our Tulsa members. And what I want those watching, we're on multiple platforms, right? We're streaming to IG Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, etc. To all my Tulsa Real Estate Fund partners, thank you for being one of the residents of our Greenwood, of our Black Wall Street, somebody that participated with their dollars in an ecosystem of financial contribution and reciprocation in our community. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit of what we've done, but that's not as what's important as the work to do. And what I found as the founder of the company, what I found in 3 years is that because we've had no history on institutional building, right? We say build Black Wall Street, but we never had an example of it, right, in recent years. So we have minimized Black Wall Street to just owning some businesses on one street. When Greenwood was actually 40 acres, 36 square blocks. And it was a quote that inspired me. I watched CNN Dreamland last night, the documentary, and it was a quote that inspired me from E.P. McCabe, was one of the founders of Black Wall Street and was one of the promoters of Black Wall Street. He literally, like how we do Instagram and social media and email blasts and text blasts, E.P. McCabe literally sent out blasts, but through written letter, all over the country saying, Negroes, African descent, Aborigines, come to Tulsa. We're building our own ecosystem, our own community, our own economics. So he was one of the biggest promoters of Black Wall Street to get people to come on in and let's create something for ourselves. And one thing he said in his quote, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, excuse me, but he said something to the effect of, this country owes my community homes. I believe the same thing. From redlining, COINTELPRO, Black codes, the Black Wall Street massacre, school to prison pipeline, right? All those things. This country owes us, right? Through all those things. They owe us homes, they owe us land. We know this. But what E.P. McCabe said is that our people owe it to ourselves to have governmental control of those homes. This is the part I've been preaching and teaching, and I plead with our community to buy into, right? The part of that is, it's not about individual families, the Morrison last name or the Johnson last name or the Skinner last name. It's not about just us owning land or owning businesses. That is progress for sure. But it's about us having governmental, institutional-like control of our own economy. That is Black Wall Street. As a community, we haven't been taught properly, and we have minimized our opportunity to just ownership. But the real power play is controllership. It's institutional control of your community and the economics of community and all that functions within your community. That's where we missed the mark. So what we've been doing with the Tulsa Real Estate Fund is creating a financial institution. It's not just buy back the block. Like, there's many real estate investors that have bought back blocks. That's great, that's progress. But it's how do we institutionally control our own capital, right? Like, that's the big play. So I want to get into, for our Tulsa Talk Thursdays, just some quick communications for you guys in regards to our fund and what you all can do moving forward. We all can do together to be a part of this. King Clinton, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you, because this keeps logging out for some reason. I guess because, how do I go back? I guess because you have to hold it for a little bit. Yeah, because it keeps blacking out. So family on Zoom, YouTube, I want to give us a quick thought. And I have a special guest coming in, but I want to give us a quick thought real quick. When I founded the Tulsa Real Estate Fund in 2016, right? And it was after the Freddie Gray uprising in Baltimore, I was inspired to build a fund because Baltimore Bloods and Crips said they thought a solution to the community, right, in our uprising and oppression was to build a Black Wall Street. So I said, as a real estate entrepreneur and businessman, what does that look like? This has been a big phrase. In our generation, what does a Black Wall Street actually look like? This is the part that I want to lend my 3 years of experience of running the largest Black-owned real estate crowdfund in the history of America. Running the first Black-owned real estate crowdfund in the history of America. I want to lend my experience as a brother, not being pompous, not puffing myself up, but as a brother to what it looks like to me from all my research. And for context, I am more of a freedom fighter than a fund manager. My passion, my purpose, my calling, my gifts are better utilized as more of a freedom fighter than a fund manager with all my economic expertise. So when I said what Black Wall Street looked like, I thought about it and I said, to have that 36 square blocks, over 2,000 homes and businesses, hospitals, churches, bus lines, still an institution. To have a bus line, you got an institution. Schools, curriculums, movie theaters, all that. So I said, okay, we know we need capital, right? So we need capital to run a Black Wall Street, right? But capital just won't do it. We know we need land, right? We need land, we need real estate to resurrect our businesses and all that. But with the land and the capital, one of the bigger plays was institutions that can sustain this land. And institutional capital, not one rich guy, not just O.W. Gurley, not just E.P. McCabe, not just J.B. Stafford, but we needed our own banks, our own funds, our own institutions. And then at the center of all that, though, is the people, but a unified, uplifted people, a people that have a mission and a frequency. See, back then, we were forced to have to work together, forced to spend our money together because it was segregated. We had no choice. These days, we have so many places to spend our money. We get a big bag, we get the capital, and then we go spend it with every other community and not our own. So when I thought about what a Black Wall Street looked like, this was part of the vision, and I knew we needed to have an uplifted people. I knew a broken people could not resurrect the Black Wall Street. I know of people that didn't have knowledge of self, who they were, and have Black love, and be able to elevate each other could not have a Black Wall Street, right? We needed to connect the like minds, and it couldn't be the talented 10th of us. It couldn't just be a few ball players, a few businessmen and rich athletes. We do it. It had to be the people, right? So the vision for us was not just Tulsa Real Estate Fund, TREF, right? Which our goal initially and still is a $50 million fund. The goal was, how do we use TREF as a beta test, right? This was our beta. No one did this before. Since Marcus Garvey in 1921, we never came together and raised capital before to advance our people. So this is a beta test in 2018 to say, how do we do this? How do we build an institution and get it right? How do we understand the technology that's needed, right? So what we figured out is the tech for our institution, the compliance in our institution, the treasury of our institution, right? The marketing in our institution, all the controls that are needed, the legal, right? The portfolio management, all of that was our last 3 years. How do you figure this out, an institutional build, not to have one fund, not to have one TREF, but so that TREF can be a model for a 21st century Black Wall Street, right? It could be a model for us to be able to do this over and over and over again. So the goal was times 20. 20 $50 million funds equals 1 billion in assets under management for the advancement of our community. That was, still is, my vision, our vision, and what we're buying into. This is a long journey. Black Wall Street was started in 1905 with the first 40 acres of land. It took 15 years to be at its height in 1921. Took 15 years to be able to develop that into a fully thriving institution with governmental control, meaning they controlled their whole way of being. And I think that has been lost in all of our 2018 to 21 marketing, branding, conversations, and narrative. Everyone's missing what we came for. I didn't come for a fund. I didn't come for a real estate title, a real estate trophy. I came to be a freedom fighter. I came for liberation. I came for governmental, institutional control. I came for a beta test, a model that we all can follow, to own our own farms, to own our own technology. We had a Tulsa Tech Fund, a Tulsa School Fund, Education Fund, Health and Wellness Fund. The model, our community, we're missing the model, family. I've had so many influencers, some of the biggest wealth podcasts in the community saying, I would never do a fund like that. I would never do this. I would never gather all these people to raise capital. Yeah, we never have done it. And look where we've been now. So the opportunity is to create models that we can scale for governmental, as E.P. McKay said, governmental control that we're owed. We owe it to ourselves. He said America owes Black people in Black Wall Street. This is back in the 1900s. America owes us homes and land, but we owe ourselves governmental institutional control of that land, right? So cool. This was the vision. I'll come back to that. Now, let's talk about Tulsa Real Estate Fund current day, where we're at. So we are commemorating the 100-year anniversary of Tulsa Oklahoma massacre, right, of Greenwood, where reportedly history says 300 or so lost their lives, were murdered. My boots on the ground have said over 1,000 were murdered, thousands in internment camps, and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars of properties lost at today's value. So we're celebrating and commemorating and paying homage to that community, but I'm just an action taker. I'm a doer. So one of my guests is coming. He's a very popular in the conscious community. He said the conscious community failed when all we did was enlighten, educate, and read, and we didn't do enough. So for me, it's always been about, well, what do we do? I don't want to be an Instagram influencer with a blue check and a bunch of followers and haven't built anything. That's not me. So for me taking action and for us taking action, we could be commemorating and paying homage and remembering Greenwood or remembering Black Wall Street, but how do we actually resurrect it? So I believe that we have come close to understanding the model of what institutional level group economics looks like. So on the 3-year anniversary of our fund, we want to pay homage to that community, which is why we launched on June 1st. But we also want to pay the biggest homage and respect by doing the work that will make those ancestors proud and those families proud that lost their lives, lost their property, were beaten, were robbed, were injured, and were put into these internment camps. We want to make them proud by our works, not our words. So I want to start with a little backstory on Black Wall Street origins. So the origin of Black Wall Street. Many look at the success of the original Black Wall Street without asking the question of the source. How did Black people in the early 1900s get the capital, the money, to establish a Black Wall Street? The answer is real estate. I want everyone to research the freedom men, right? It's all one word, freedom men, for full context. But the fact is many Blacks in Oklahoma obtained their real estate as a result of the Dawes Act, which subdivided Native American, Aboriginal, communal land holdings into personally owned allotments. So there's all these millions of acres in Tulsa owned by what they call the Native Americans, the original people, the Aborigines. And then from that, the government through the Dawes Act broke it up into individual parcels and started sparsing it out. So to the extent of the Civil War, Black tribal freedmen held millions of acres in large individual allotments. As such, they had opportunity to build a house on that land, farm that land, and generate revenue from selling of their crops. The financial stability allowed Black freedmen to pool their resources and start businesses, schools, banks, hospitals, and help give rise to the thriving Black Wall Street community we know today. So I want to run that back real quick for everybody. And he's coming in. I want to run that back for everybody. The fact that the Dawes Act broke up these millions of acres of land and gave them to Aboriginal people and to Black people, African descent people, the financial stability from the land allowed the freedmen to pool their dollars. So once they got the land, they ran the bag up. And after they ran the bag up, they were able to collect those dollars from running the bag up and then build the businesses, the schools, the hospitals, and all that, right? So the index of Black resources allowed the community, right, to create a measurable level of self-reliance and generate commerce, allowing every dollar to exchange hands over 19 times. Some would estimate nearly 30 times in the Greenwood district, right? So I want to give us a quick lesson on this real quick. It's really important for institutional level community building. And then I want to bring up and bring in a special guest in just a second. So through the Dawes Act, right, Black people, our community, excuse me, guys, we're going to run on all phones here. I want everybody to get this message. Boom, we on. All right. Through the Dawes Act, our community received land, right? Millions of acres of land. From the land, they then owned homes, right? Property, had farms, and were able to produce dollars from the land. Now what they said is, now that we're all individually getting a little bit wealthier from the land and the resources, let's pull this dollars together, and now let's start to build institutions. There's a reason why I'm writing it out this way for everyone, right? This is how you build group economics. It didn't stop at the individual level. The individual level is, hey, I'm doing well. I'm building for my family. I got the bag. I got the land. I got the farm. I got the businesses. No, they took that, came together, and then started building institutions. All right. So, and then with those institutions, they kept circulating the dollar, getting each other richer. So they didn't make the money in these institutions coming together, right? Building their own banks, right? Schools, businesses, hospitals, all that. They didn't do this and then take the money and go buy European everything. Imagine coming through Black Wall Street, getting land, getting homes, running it back up for your family, pulling it back up the community, building institutions, and then taking it back or giving it back to the same people that oppressed you. What they did is say, yo, as we do this, we're going to circle this joint right back into the same business institutions. That's the example we're setting here with Tulsa Real Estate Fund. And I'm gonna factually show you how. So, prominent landmarks, business owners in Greenwood. O.W. Gurley owns several businesses, including multifamily apartments. J.B. Stafford owns several businesses, including the Stafford Hotel. John and Lua Williams, they own the Dreamland Theater. Simon Berry, he owns transportation buildings, including taxis, buses, and private chartered planes. In real life, taxis, buses, private charter planes for the advancement of his family and our family and our community. Institution building, right? So Black-owned community resources in Greenwood, including the Greenwood YMCA, Black schools, employment agency, funeral homes, grocery stores, savings and loan bank, right? Those are some of the businesses that we created on an institutional level. So here are some parallels we've been able to create the first 3 years, not the 1905, 1921, not 15 years, the first 3 years of a beta test of a fund that we and I had no example to do. There was no blueprint, there was no footprint for us to follow to be able to execute this opportunity to resurrect Black Wall Street. Now, before I do that, I'm gonna get into that for all the Tulsa Real Estate Fund partners and our supporters. There's some people that have not physically invested or missed the opportunity to or couldn't, but say family, brother, sister, TREF family, we support you, I pray for you, I encourage you, we are in support. I wanna bring up a brother that is a king that is well respected in our community, is a thought leader, is just a solid brother, Black man, right? And he and I had a chance to build privately the other day, but he said some things about this Black Wall Street weekend, this centennial, and said it from this conference room here at the Black House. And I asked him to come in today on his own time, to cut his day short, to speak with us, to speak with me, because he said some things that empowered me and encouraged me, and I think we all need to hear about the gravity of this situation and the opportunity we have at hand and what we have actually done. So I think we have this expectation or the way that narrative shift or media or whatever, but we gotta put this opportunity, this history, and what we have done as partners. Over 15,000 members have invested in Tulsa Real Estate Fund. There's been some that, as a fund partners and members, said, I gotta make an early exit. I need a redemption. I got other things to do with my capital. I'm strapped right now, or whatever. But we still have 14,244 members from inception. That says a lot. Out of 15,000, maybe 300 members, we still have 14,244 members in 22 countries throughout the diaspora, part of this fund. That is proof of group economics on this Black Wall Street Day. This is not hashtag tweet proof. This ain't PR media opportunity. This is real institutional building. So I want to go over this real quick. I want to bring our brother up. I know me and him gonna go. Real quick. We talked about owning land and then mining your farms and making money. Let's look at some parallels between TREF and Black Wall Street. TREF has united over 15,000 families in 22 countries to raise over $11.3 million. A drop in the bucket, but more than we ever have done in our community in real life. Can't point to a person or organization nowhere that has raised more capital, equitable capital, where everyone's partners, than what we've done over the last 3 years. Can't point to it. That's something we should all be proud of. Take me out of it. We should be proud that Black people actually united at that level, right? Let's talk about the mining real estate for what we call cash paying crops, right? TREF, not only did our investors benefit from the real estate holdings that we've had, but in the spirit of Black Wall Street, TREF investors also benefit from the revenue generated from the real estate crops, meaning the revenue generated from businesses operated within the fund-owned properties. So here at the Black House, we have several businesses. All of our investment partners benefit from the revenue generated from those activities: co-working space, studio space, media leasing, training rooms. These are our crops. These are it's our cotton. These are our tomatoes. This is our tobacco. So here in this real estate, it's just not the office leases where we are only one office away from being 100% occupied, by the way, coming out of a pandemic. But it's also the businesses we create here are the crops that our investors, our partners, 15,000 or 14,000 plus benefit from. Black schools. Black Wall Street opened its own schools. Here, we hold multiple curriculums, master classes. We teach technology classes. We've had mentorship programs. We've done cryptocurrency and stock classes. We have members here that hold weekly stock classes, finance classes. We've had health and wellness classes, yoga, all that taught here from a Black Wall Street or a Black House school perspective. Black Wall Street had the Greenwood YMCA. The Legacy Center serves as a community center, a business incubator, to be able to nurture our community. For the last several months, we've held bi-weekly mentorship programs for our youth, our Black men, ages 12 to 24, through Big Brother Anonymous, which I'm proud to say has now partnered with the Obama Foundation and the My Brother Keepers Alliance. So Big Brother Anonymous, which happens here for Black men ages 12 to 24 to get nurtured and mentored, is now partnered with the Obama Foundation, a global organization, to be able to empower our youth from our YMCA, the Black House. Employment agency. Black Wall Street owned employment agencies. Through our fund, we've employed over 100 people through developers, contractors, realtors, engineers, staff, our co-working leaders, our building venue managers, other operators. We've created over 100 jobs in 3 years in our fund. I would say unanimously 92% plus have been for Black people and Black families. From, not me, from our partners, our fund, our institution. Our institution has created over 100 jobs, and today marks 3 years in real life. I'm not talking about a tweet campaign. I'm not talking about an IG campaign, a YouTube series, a podcast. Talking about institutional level community building. And circulating the Black dollar. We've funded almost 24 now minority developers through the capital that we raised together. We funded other people's projects. A Black woman just sold or just refinanced her 7-unit complex she developed with us, paid us off, and now she has it to do and collect her rent, but we all participated together. We've done 14-unit complexes, Black woman developer, 14 units, we funded her. 98-unit complex, we funded it. Bundle mortgages, we funded it. Transactional funding, we funded it. She's about circulating our dollars to the point that we paid a cash dividend to our investment partners of over $390,000, right? We paid a cash dividend to our investment partners of over $390,000. Again, circulating the dollar. Multifamily dwellings. I just told you, we've had apartment complexes owned in partnership with the fund, over 100 doors. Banking. We've loaned out over $7 million to those developers. Think about that. Black Wall Street has owned banking, its own financial institutions. We've loaned out several million to Black developers and counting, and more to come. Arts and entertainment. Black Wall Street had its own arts and entertainment. We just held for Rizza Islam and Tariq Nasheed a movie screening on buck breaking that empowers our community. Arts and entertainment in the Black House, 400 or 500 deep, in the back of our 20,000 square foot warehouse that's going to be developed into our media space. We hold Greenlit ATL. We have it this Thursday. We invite Black media Black actors, entrepreneurs. We've had DC Young Fly, we've had T.I., we've had David Banner, we've had Will Catlett, we've had all others coming to celebrate media here at the Black House. Art to media, happening in real life. Partners, B. Simone, Carrie Hilson, Demarius Thomas. We've had real players here practicing Black unity. They had Art to Media and Black Wall Street. We got Art to Media here at the Black House at the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, and our partners, our practice of group economics inspired by our community. And then just financials. We have done our best job to be fiduciaries and good stewards of the capital that we've raised together to make sure that we are meeting our vision of growing and extending that capital, circulating that capital, and being the best financial institution, real estate fund, and just, again, model that we can duplicate for our people. The greatest flattery form is a flattery of imitation. And we feel the best way to commemorate the significance of the original Black Wall Street is to follow this blueprint in developing thriving and a prosperous Black community. We are imitating and emulating, I'll pay homage. We're copying Black Wall Street, but we're copying them from the perspective of just not naming rights. We're copying them from a perspective of governmental, institutional level control of our dollars, of our land, and of the circulation of those dollars. So that is an update on 3 years in the making Tulsa Real Estate Fund. And I want to bring up my brother Blue, King Blue Pill. If you have a seat with me, some of you all may be familiar with him. If you're not, Blue Pill, he's king. And I have been building, and I'm gonna really just lay it up to you, King, because when you said that word gravity, it just sits on me. The gravity of the situation. You were here for our grand opening, et cetera. But again, Blue Pill is a staple in our community. You and your brother. And I just want you to speak to our audience where we're zooming right here, we're screaming right there, but you can speak to our audience, just educate us, enlighten us on like what this means in from a perspective of the conscious community, those of us who are enlightened in frequency. But you said something to me, everybody can't see. Yes. So that's my goal here. Is like some of us already know what it is. We get it. Like you got it. I was surprised you got it, how you got it. But everyone can't see. So how do we open their eyes to this opportunity? What's happening here today?
For individuals such as myself, we pride ourselves on our what's considered high-level observations. And that is just not to see things on the surface. But as Scorpios, we kind of deep dive and go underneath the hood. So there often is a multiplicity of layers of a thing, right? Which lends to the gravity of that particular thing. In this particular case, I was just saying, let's be very mindful that this week or this, these past few days that we have experienced, we're coming up on a 100-year anniversary. And this is also juxtaposed with the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd. And it's also juxtaposed, with a campaign that our people are undergoing right now with shots and COVID and
right.
People, coming in post-COVID and reintegrating themselves into society.
And then we could take it another 100 years back, because 1921 was when Marcus Garvey and the UNIA also made their mark.
Right, and we're here in Atlanta. And on my way here, and I don't know whether this is a ghetto legend or fictional or not, but when you pass the Gold Dome building in downtown Atlanta, some people have said that was the gold that they took from Garvey, and they made that particular Gold Dome out of that.
Wow.
So it again, the gravity of the moment does not lose me that he also languished in the Atlanta penitentiary of the block.
Wow.
Right? And he was the first one, in essence, to do what you are doing legacy-wise, in terms of saying, I'm able to create a crowd fund, amongst my people and fund these particular ideas and these projects. So all of those things, added together and compounding with one another, even going back into Memorial Day and the connection with Charleston, you know what I'm saying, and what the ancestors were doing at that particular time, you know, for unearthing the mass graves. And then looking at the Tulsa documentary last night, and they're talking about unearthing the mass graves, right? So the overlying theme is that what? There's a job unfinished in the realm of the living and even in the realm of the dead, that these ancestors are very uneasy. They're earthbound because the job is not done. So it's almost,
let me write that down here.
It's almost open-ended, you know what I'm saying? And ancestors are begging us to get these things together. And they say if something is broke, if something is not broke, you don't necessarily have to fix it. So with all of that being understood, the template has already been left, has been provided. And the only thing that's required is individuals that are committed, you know, to pick up where our ancestors left off. They said that the way that you edify an ancestor that has recently departed is you can complete their incomplete works. That's how you edify your ancestors. So where you're at, you know what I'm saying, and what this particular edifice represents is like, all right, you got one foot in the door. You're closer to the finish line, you know, or to a goal line than anybody else is that's just conceptually thinking about what needs to be done, because we are here. It's already 100 years. You know what I'm saying? This is the pinnacle point that we should all be looking at some level of reflection to say, you know what I mean, where we're at, how do I self-audit where I'm at, what needs to be changed so we can get ahead and forward. Because if we are looking at, you know, these individuals, again, I ask a lot of people that I come into contact with to keep this in mind and juggle this around in your own minds. They say that these ancestors were ex-slaves. They walked barefoot, right, on the Trail of Tears. So that means some of them came from Mississippi. That means some of them came from Georgia. That means some of them came from North Carolina, because that's where, you know, that particular transmigration took place. They said they came here barefoot, or they came to Oklahoma barefoot, and upon getting there, they were released, right? So if the story is consistent with what they're telling us about these individuals who were one generation removed from slavery, and they were able to do what they did, that is the greatest American story ever
told.
Never told, right? For whatever reason, right? It's the greatest American story never told, because it has a
one generation out of slavery, barefoot in the Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in 15 years resurrect that.
And this is the pinnacle of mastery, because they became doctors, lawyers, right? Top tier, everything that they did was top level. Who taught them? Right? Where did they get the training? Where did they get the certification? Where did they get the knowledge and the know-how? Where did they get the template and the blueprint in order to put that together, where they now become where everyone else has to come and learn from? You feel me? Absolutely. Because they told you last night, they said what? They said the reason that Black Wall Street or Greenwood in particular worked is because they had a consortium of communities that were around them as well, coming and pouring in. So it doesn't necessarily only have to be the Black house, but this can be the center point of where you bring community in to obtain resources, to obtain information, right? And to exchange information, to exchange resources, to exchange opportunity, to exchange genius. You feel me?
Absolutely.
But we have to work with what's already available and what's already here.
Right.
And we have to figure out a way to push through whatever blockages or roadblocks or whatever else is in the road. You know, we have to figure a way how to get those obstructions out of the way, so we can have a free-flowing, you know what I'm saying, channel of inspiration, information, you know what I mean, and ultimately actualization. Because one thing that our people are not, we don't have a lack of ideas.
Facts.
You know, we don't have we don't have a lack of ingenuity. We don't have the lack of ability to look at a problem and come up with a solution. right? So we have to ask ourselves, well, what are we lacking? Because we're talking about ancestors that made a lot out of nothing, right?
So what's wrong with this? Is my big thing. I was like, what's wrong with us? Right? That's that self-audit you said. I'm listening. What's wrong with us? And this has been my biggest thing as I've been on my journey, right? Is I told you is that and I guess this is why I love our yin yang that we have in your perspective. I believe in self-evaluating. Right? That's my thing. It's a self-audit all the time. Business, professional, father, husband, all that, right? Spiritually. I always say, what's wrong with it? What am I doing wrong?
Right.
So I look at our community, right? And so we say one generation from slavery, 1905.
Yeah.
That's 40 years from enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
By 1921, institutions built. Multiple institutions in 15 years.
Right.
No social media, no phones, no resources, no government assistance, no PPP, no PUA, no EIDL, no books. Everybody couldn't read. No school system, no curriculum, all that. So I got chills right now. I'm almost going to cry. What is wrong with us that in 15 years our ancestors could build institutions,
right,
and in 100 years,
right,
stop?
Because again, we're not just speaking about businesses. We're speaking about institutions.
This is the biggest narrative branding that I need your help in getting across to our community. Because we think that if you own a business, I own a business, Clint own a business, we come together, yo, we Black Wall Street. A collection of business owners is not Black Wall Street. A collection of institution builders is Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. You own a bank, I own a fund, he owned an insurance company, he owned an escrow company.
He got an airport.
He got an airport. Not a plane, port.
Right. Right. Transportation.
How do we level? So that's what I'm saying. So this is the audit questions. Mm-hmm. How do we level up our frequency enough to be able to get that buy-in? Because TREF, as I told you guys earlier, is just the model. I'm not trying to be like, yo, I figured it all out. Like, yo, I'm the man. I'm just saying I shot my shot. Mm-hmm. Because I look back and in 2016, or actually 2015, when I thought about the fund, when God gave me the inspiration for the fund in the universe, the ancestors said, boom, hey, Kobe. In 2015, I said, what was wrong with us all these years? What did they do? And then who am I going to be in this time frame? Am I going to be another person that theorized about it, that talked about it? Or am I going to actually take whatever steps needed to do something about it? Whether it's perfect, wrong, right, or indifferent, right, is better than a blank.
Right. Better than speculation. You're going to be operative, even if you bump your head. I did it in the motion of doing as opposed to sitting and thinking about it.
The safest thing to do is to not do it. Safest thing to do. For me, for my family, for my brand, the safest thing was to not do this.
You're going to take the risk.
So collectively as a community, we got to figure out what's wrong with us, our thinking, our mentality, our exposure to information as to why we're not buying into institution building. And then, and I really hate to say this, because I hate to have to, unfortunately, defend our company. But for the scrutiny our company's been under, yes, publicly and otherwise, is with nothing else, as you said, that has mirrored it in this multiple generations. How do we elevate the frequency and get people to see that the attempt, even the model, the steps, the progression, being operative, how that benefits all of us? How do we, what's the enlightenment code? How do we crack this code? Because they cracked this code in 15 years. Right. We had 100, and over the last 3, well, we started in 15 thinking about it, 2016 formed the company, 2018 we launched. So it's our launch date, 2018. 2021, here we stand. And we just ran down our resume of what we've done, which is not enough for some people. But what can we do? Because that's what this building is about. It's about being the think tank. Dr. Boyce Watkins calls the epicenter of Black America, but it's about galvanizing people at a headquarters that we have to figure all of we can figure out for institutional building and a greater good for our people. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that again, you know, when we were speaking about the need and necessity to have vision, I feel that if you were able to lay out and present what is the 5, 10, or 15-year vision of TREF and the things that are necessary to you know, to get there, and the energy and the input that's needed to be put into that, then that may galvanize people to say, all right, I know exactly why I'm showing up and what
I know where we're going.
I know where we're going.
It's not a 2018 where we're going,
Right.
2019 where we're going. It's not a short-term vision.
No, yeah, it's a trajectory.
And why we're going there.
And why we're going there. So now that's purpose. You know, when you marry purpose to passion, you feel me? Those are the things that you don't even know what type of time is going by, because you just putting in the work.
Absolutely.
Right. So how many years?
That was my answer I needed right there.
Right. How many years will it take to reinstitute and build out institution?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because if you think through our marketing and narrative, Jay Morrison, a real estate guru, started a real estate fund, I'm looking for real estate results only.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking for quick real estate results. But if it's Jay Morrison, the freedom fighter,
right,
is building a model and trajectory for institutional level, right? And not me, our company, our partners.
Again, yes.
I'm just being a visionary and lending my purpose and my life to our movement. Golden Child says so on his Instagram, he's another one I gotta bring here. We all gotta come here.
Yes.
He said, I'm serving my people to my very last breath. I said, me too. That's me. That's not every fund manager. That's not every real estate guy. I'm serving my people to my last breath. And it reinvigorated me, but these are the kind of answers of what we got to do, because what I believe in, we all celebrate in this, what they did back here, but what good is a celebration without the action? What good is the commemoration without the operation? That part. What good is the commemoration without the operation?
What good is the revision without the vision? Right? So we're being revisionists right now.
Everyone is reflecting. Revision.
And their emotion and their feelings, you know, the documentary is hitting home. But I'm like, where's the vision? Are you not compelled to say never again? Right? Because when other people say never again, we see what comes out of that.
Right.
It's really never again.
Right.
Right. We didn't even know that we was interned or they had us in camps.
Right. We didn't know. We were like thousands in prison. But thousands of people in prison.
They never told us that. They told us that about the Japanese.
Yeah.
They told us that about Jews. But guess what? Those people said never again. And that's not even a situation that is consistent with where they're at today. So what is it going to take for us to say never again? You feel me? And when do we draw the line to say it's building time? You feel me? And the build out is a build out of institutions.
Right.
But this is a wonderful place to start. And I'm telling you, this is too big to fail. So we got to figure it out.
It's on my mind every day, bro. Every day I wake up.
I'm here with you to help as best as I can, share ideas and resources, come up with, you know, real conceptual ideas that we can execute, because our ancestors want us to win.
They need us to win.
And it's nothing but a decision at this point, because they're on our side and they're conspiring for our success.
They want us to win. They need us to win. They deserve us to win.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, yes. All right, family, what we're going to do is this. I know you guys have some questions. I actually got to change rooms because we got someone that's renting out the conference room. We want that revenue, TREF Life. Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to log off real quick. I'm going to go onto my personal Instagram, Mr. J Morrison Instagram. If you guys have questions, you want to build, you want to follow me and Blue, or Blue and I. We want you guys to hop on my IG, my Instagram, Mr. J Morrison Instagram, in just a few moments. I'll try to put it on Facebook too for my Facebook watchers as well. And we're gonna continue this dialogue, right? But we want to get this, we want to make a happy tenant and happy leasee, right? So we're gonna get them in here and comfortable. Business comes first, right? We circulating the dollar. But I want to, on this centennial and commemoration, again, putting that operation at the forefront of commemoration was important to me. And I want to make our ancestors proud. I want us, not me, just us as a collective. I can't do it alone. And that's also what I'll pull from this, is that There has to be more collaboration, more alliances. But now we got a headquarters, we got a place to do it. We got a place to collaborate, to align, to build.
Yes.
Right? Our own land, in real life. So King, thank you for your words. Let's hop on this IG in a minute. So guys, hop on with Blue Pill, myself. I'm gonna be on Instagram, a little bit of Facebook, and just a few for follow-up questions to this live stream. And thank you all for joining. So my Tulsa Real Estate Fund members, none of this is possible without you. I got all the vision I want, all the passion I want, all the inspiration I want, be as charismatic as I want, but without you and your family's investment dollars, there is no Black House. There is no Tulsa Fund. There is no several million funded to Black developers. There is no institutional building without the people. Fred Hampton said it best. The power is in the people. The power is with the people. All right, guys, appreciate you all. Love, man. It's institution time in real life.